You tell that fat bitch your name, my daughter gonna come down here and whoop her fat ass. Right. You let her know that because she disrespect me. No. And I'm old enough to be her grandma, telling my daughter gonna whoop her fat ass.
Honestly, I only thought this happened in Tyler Perry movies. I mean, this type of behavior, think about it. It's an older lady talking to a younger man. This is Blackistan type ethos being passed down. It's skipping a generation. It's actually going to a younger person. And it is, hey, I am angry and I don't care what's happening and I need that gratification of, exploding with my anger and all of that stuff. That's something that's a problem, something that we can't continue in a society. Sorry to the viewers for that video. I mean, it's disgusting. It's something that I hate sharing because you hate seeing when humanity gets to that point where someone literally is so angry, just so filled with rage that they will literally destroy this fast food and establishment because they're so angry. Like, these are adults. These are not children. These are adults. These are the people that are raising the next generation. And when you think about it, what does this do to the children that they're raising, the people that they encounter? Like, this type of behavior makes living in the hood, living in that Blackistan mindset, so intolerable. This is horrible. There's no excuse for it. Major issue that I'm talking about, it is that we have been cultured in such a way to be very individualistic, and sometimes that does not come off as being as a team player. This can be very jarring to other people, and the question is, like, when we go to these big corporations that are generally adapt to the Anglo-Saxon, American, European type of culture, do we bring our culture in that corporation, or do we adapt and conform? Because sometimes individualism can be good, but sometimes it can be jarring and bad, and something for us to think about. And that's why I'm saying Blackistan is not just an area, it is also a programming that's within us that we need to do some introspection on. Do people like to be around us? Do they enjoy the interactions that they have with us? That's an important thing, because this is what makes us, whether we are good neighbors, good family members, good friends. And it's something that we need to think and deprogram ourselves in. And as I said, introspection, because when we look at it, and that's why I like to talk about Jordan Peterson. It's a very good, professor and author that I think a lot of people should read. Conscientiousness. It's understanding yourself within the bigger picture. And if you don't understand yourself within the bigger picture, when you go to a corporation, even if you're working for McDonald's, you're still working for a corporation. The corporation has corporate values, code of conduct, all of that. When you put on that McDonald's uniform, you represent McDonald's. So in a situation where the customer is, berating you and saying negative things, I'm sure the manual, I've never worked there, but I'm sure the manual tells you how to deal with that. But if you go on the limb and you lunge over that counter, you are now on your own, and the company does not protect you at that point. And so when we are disagreeable and we don't understand how to be the bigger person, then that shows us as a little bit petty. And when we show ourselves as petty, we limit our opportunity to be that, that good, positive member of society. And it goes back to that concept of us being a link in the chain, that link in the chain of the community. And if we're a bad link, like we're not serving the community well. And a lot of times we, instead of doing that change, that's necessary change, we go into victim mode to say, hey, the person requiring the change is actually oppressing us. But is that really true? Something we should think about. So my last point, I mean, we went from someone, saying, hey, my daughter will come back and cause trouble at the fast food establishment. Then we went to the next person who was actually destroying the fast food establishment. And then I want us to move away from violence and all that stuff and move into just interpersonal relationships, because there are many Black folks like myself who try to be cultured and try to learn, and it's always that, I call it iterative learning. And it's almost like you're learning to adapt to a culture. And sometimes we're pretty good people. We do our jobs. We do the best that we can. But we find ourselves a little ostracized because of the fact that our culture, that's the problem. Because if we grew up in a self-serving, which I consider self-defeating mindset, then we cannot really function in a corporate environment properly. Because in the corporate environment, it's a balance between being an individual performer and supporting the greater goal of the corporation. And, the larger the corporation, it's the more interconnected links. And someone who is conscientious, someone who is humble, somebody who goes out of their way to be friendly, will do well in that corporation. Someone who is a bit more reserved may find it difficult. It's not that person is a bad person, but they will find it a little more difficult because the corporate mindset does not, encourage that, because you need teams working together. You need collaboration. And sometimes there needs to be a bit of deprogramming that happens for that to occur.
If you're a Black woman and an introvert and you work in a mostly white environment, this is for you. Part 2. In your annual review, they're going to say something like, you're just not really a team player. The team just finds you a little intimidating. It's just your tone. You're a little hard to read. And then they're going to try to get your Black ass the fuck up out of there. Simply being you instead of what they think you're supposed to be makes them uncomfortable. They can't tell what's going on in your little Black ass head, and that's threatening to them. White people, if you work with an introverted Black woman and you simply cannot treat us like human beings, you are more than welcome to leave us the fuck alone. That's it. It's really easy.